You know, this is a story that we have been researching and following as the blogs have picked up on it, and developments continue. The Department of Homeland Security buying ammunition, now looking to purchase another 21 million rounds of ammunition. This in addition, of course, to the 1.6 billion rounds that Homeland Security has bought in just the past 10 months. Now, to put all of this in perspective, the military used approximately 70 million rounds each year of the Iraq War. 70 million rounds in a war. Back in July of 2008, you might recall, and this is part of the reason the blogs are picking up on this, presidential candidate, then Senator Barack Obama, proposed a civilian national security force. This is what he said.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
Yeah, you got to have that, right? We're not aware of the president having created such a force. At least it's not, maybe it's covert, I don't know. But we can't help but wonder why the Department of Homeland Security should need more than 20 times as much ammunition as it took to fight the Iraq War. Our next guest says, by the way, as we look at what's happening in Washington, D.C., the unilateral power to kill Americans with drones without due process on foreign soil is simply outrageous. Joining us is Judge Jeanine Pirro, host of Justice with Jeanine. Good to have you with us, Judge.
It's good to be here, Lou.
Let's start with the drones. I mean, we heard for, it seemed like months on end, about enhanced interrogation techniques. Now, drones being used to kill American citizens without due process on foreign soil. It gets sort of just a blip of a mention.
Well, you know what, Lou? Let me peel the onion back even one more layer. What we had was a scenario where Obama comes in and he says, this is going to be the most transparent administration in history. And then it's only when John Brennan is before the Senate that we're now saying, okay, now we're going to release this memo on some of the reasons that we think we can kill Americans on foreign soil. And by the way, Lou, I brought my little Declaration of Independence, which I carry with me, and it's
well used. I want to testify.
It is well used. It seems that the Obama administration is determined to chip away at the Constitution. What do I mean by that? Number one, we've got the Second Amendment. We're going to stop people from buying guns. They don't have an inherent right to protect themselves. And we're going after the 14th Amendment because we are taking away life, liberty without due process of law. We don't indict these people. There is no criteria that we have to establish that says we can kill them. And what we're doing now is we're taking away lives without any concrete identification of who the people are, just saying it's needed to be done, not for an imminent threat, but if they're a senior member of al-Qaeda. Now, what do you have? Like a list, a criteria of who's on top, who's on the bottom?
Well, one of the things, and I have to confess this, you tell me and convince me that a person is a radical Islamist terrorist. I want them dead. I want them killed.
Do.
I mean, instantly. And so I just don't want any disguise about my guts on this thing. But then I think about the Department of Homeland Security putting out a circular on returning veterans and saying that they are most likely, this happened two years ago, saying that they are potentially right-wing terrorists. They didn't say right-wing, but terrorists, waiting to strike the homeland. Suddenly we start getting into a very cloudy area here, and it becomes a little disconcerting to think what an administration, whether this or any other, could do with that kind of power.
And when you think about the purchase of all of this ammunition, as you said, 20 times what we needed for the war in Iraq every year, and the fact that you want to take away people's guns, you want to kill Americans, and now what we've got is a scenario where the president is talking about a civilian national security board. What is this?
And this disappeared from all of his campaign materials. You know, it's the fact is, it's the kind of grist for the conspiracy theorists. But the real issue is, what are we doing in this country when we are willing to suspend individual rights, due process as we understand it, when we're willing to just sort of close our eyes and not pay attention to the fact that the Department of Homeland Security is picking up more ammunition for crying out loud, than the Marine Corps.
And you know what? You want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, gee, maybe they don't want this ammunition out there. You know, they're really serious about guns and all of these.
By the way, that makes me serious because I'm
a gun owner, you too.
I'm not about to put up with an assault on the Second Amendment from any quarter.
But what's amazing is they're willing to say we're going to cut back on the Second Amendment, on the 14th Amendment. We're going to kill you without any identification of what the grounds are to kill you. And what we're going to do now is just make sure that you don't have ammunition. And by the way, it's these right-wingers over there. And make no mistake, Lou, that's who they're talking about. And the people with guns and the people who want to defend themselves, they're worried about some kind of uprising. What is going on in this country?
Worrying about an uprising or worrying about so many things, including how to maintain and preserve power that is not always a constitutional power.
Exactly.
Judge Jeanine Pirro, thanks for being here.
Good to be
Appreciate
here.
it. Come back soon.